Happy birthday, everybody. I don't know what I said. Happy birthday. Hey, folks, Craig Lavati here with the Houston Museum of Natural Science. It's another episode of the Beyond Bones podcast, Zoomcast, fishing cast. I don't know, whatever it is. I'm really excited because for this episode, not only am I joined by my amazing co-host, Kat Havens.
Hey there. I like how you're matching today.
Thank you.
Matching today, Craig.
Got the this and then that back there.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I got my skull.
Yeah. Where it's if people are just now tuning in, we don't just put on the whole skull motif for October. It's all year long.
It's an everyday thing.
Yeah, we're just spooky people. There we go. I am and that voice you just heard is Kevin Shipley from the Gulf Coast Regional Blood Center. Sorry, Kevin, I was totally screwed. I was about to call you the guy after all the blood, but that's not correct.
That sounds spooky too.
He's from the Gulf Coast Regional Blood Center, and he is the director of donor recruitment. Kevin Shipley, how you doing?
Doing wonderful. Thanks for having me today. I'm excited to join you guys and talk a little bit about what we do here at the Blood Center.
And let's see the artwork you got behind you.
Yeah, so my artwork over here is a Hobby Lobby special from my wife got from my office. But all of here is my daughters. They constantly are drawing things and sharing stuff and telling me, Dad, can you take this to work and hang it up? So this one's brand new today.
Very cool. Yeah. So we're getting the debut.
Absolutely. Like
it's an art show.
Autographs and everything. Yeah, first grade art.
Very cool. Very cool. So we had you on because the Houston Museum of Natural Science now is, I guess, we're a pop-up blood donation center inside the Grand Hall. We're doing this until the end of May. It's sort of coinciding with Body Worlds, which opens up Saturday. It opens up Saturday. We're recording this on a Wednesday. It opens up on Saturday coming up here in a few days. So by the time you guys all hear this, you should have already been inside Body Worlds because it's going to be really amazing. But we're doing the blood donation thing with Kevin's folks because blood donation is so very important right now, especially with COVID going on. And you guys always need blood, right, Kevin?
We are always out for blood. You know, I joke with people all the time to say that they always say, hey, how did you get into this? And I always joke and say, this is not on the list in elementary school of what you want to be when you grow up. To always be out begging
for blood.
Yeah, right. You know, but my only interaction even kind of applying here was like, I just kind of had a vision of what I saw in the movies of somebody would say blood stat. And there's always a picture of somebody running out. And while sometimes that happens, our job is to prevent that situation from ever happening and making sure blood is always available. And it is perishable. So we're always going to be making sure that we have a stable blood supply for our community.
So, you guys that are listening out there, I've already donated blood. I donated a few weeks ago. You may have seen it on Facebook Live. One of your colleagues, Kelly, actually, I interviewed her while I was giving blood. That was the very first time I've ever given blood and actually had to have a coherent conversation.
Did you feel woozy? Was that hard?
No, actually, I think I was more nervous. I was more nervous about donating blood on camera because I didn't want to like scare anybody. I didn't want to like dissuade anybody from donating themselves. So I was very stoic about it, and I had a great time. Estevan was my phlebotomist. He put me at ease really well. He put a little ice pack in the back of my neck when he saw me starting to sweat a little bit because I was getting kind of worked up by talking to Kelly. We were just having a great time. And I even got to hold a bag of my my blood.
Was it warm?
It was warm. Kevin, I don't know why I didn't think the blood was going to be warm right out of my body.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It totally is. It's going to come out at your body temperature. So it's 98.6. And typically when you go donate blood, one of our kind of restrictions is we always want the room to be cool. Much like when you go into a hospital, you always notice that, hey, it's a little chilly. We also replicate that for a lot of reasons, but you'll see a stark contrast from the temperature of the volume of blood to what room temperature you're in. So it's warm.
One of the funniest
I'm proud of your multitasking, by the way, Craig.
Yeah, but I was just like over here and like,
Add that to your job description. You know, your resume can say, "Hey, I have officially done interviews while bleeding. I'm not sure."
While giving blood.
No context whatsoever, right?
I mean, I have done interviews like while getting tattooed, and that's not easy. This is different. At least this was like benefiting other people.
Yeah.
You can go on your COVID list of skills that you've gotten since COVID. I have a list.
So, Kevin, speaking of helping people, I donated. I guess I was there. I was 30 minutes or so.
Yep.
Was how long? So, my bag of blood. How many people will that typically go to?
Great question. So, every single donation goes to save 3 lives, up to 3 lives here in our community. And once you donate, we take that blood back that night to the blood center. We separate it to its 3 components: red blood cells, plasma, and platelets. And those are going to go into help patients in our community, potentially at different hospitals who are, undergoing different kinds of treatments to help them whatever's ailing them. So yeah, you've affected the lives of 3 people here in our community.
So that was roughly 3 weeks ago, I believe. At this point, is my blood already out there doing its job?
Absolutely. I would say in this environment, we are seeing a quick turnaround. Kind of give you a lay of the land. Every single day, we need about 800 to 1,000 people to come and donate blood to support the demands of all the hospitals in the Gulf Coast region. We supply blood to over 170 institutions. And what's kind of weird is everybody's like, oh, well, less people out on the roads, less people are going to work. There's got to be less injuries. And what's kind of interesting and kind of I was surprised coming to work here is a lot of the transfusions that happen aren't like, hey, the car accident, the person's bleeding and they have to go and transfuse them. It's people going through cancer treatments. It's people who are going through just regular everyday things at hospitals who are receiving blood products. And so we've actually seen an increase in the demand from our hospitals. And a lot of that was pent up demand from the time when we were kind of closed down, and they did slow down surgeries. And now those are picking back up and they're having to kind of play catch up. And so our demands increase while our supply, where we normally go to get our blood from partnering with different businesses, churches, schools and colleges are a main source of place where we get blood donations. And a lot of those aren't able to have blood drives right now, or some of them have just now started coming back to school this week. And so they just haven't jumped back into it just yet. So
you had to reimagine sort of how you're doing that and try to figure out different major sources?
Very much so. In fact, earlier this morning, part of what I was working on is kind of looking back to say, hey, how are we staying stable? Just to kind of give you a perspective, September, last month, the number one place where blood's typically donated every September is high schools. It's their first month back.
Right.
And high school students is somewhere we've put a lot of energy and effort because they're our next generation of donors. Baby boomers were a huge population of donors, and we've got to kind of replace that generation with a new generation of blood donors. So we spent a lot of time working in our high schools. Well, kind of the good part of that is it was working. The bad part of that is once we, those high schools weren't able to host blood drives, we were left to go find new places, which kind of is what developed our relationship with you guys, to be able to host blood drives and create locations for people to come out in the community and donate blood. So it's been absolutely huge and very necessary to do so throughout these times. Yeah.
What's the strangest place you guys have ever had a blood drive at?
Oh, that's a great question. Strangest place we've ever hosted.
Because I guess you're kind of limited.
It's like a newlywed game question.
Oh, for sure, right? Man,
I guess you're limited to certain. I guess like a public place. Like you can't. There's certain places you can and can't go to.
Over the years, we've had all kinds of different people, call us and host some blood drives. We had a nudist colony call us to host a blood drive once, and that was quite interesting.
Their blood works. Their blood's normal.
I mean, absolutely. And so we've had
like everybody else's.
Well, we've had people who've called us to host blood drives that are all I would say like Halloween themed blood drives. Those are always interesting and fun, and it's kind of a mixed bag. You never know what you're going to get, and so but. Our mainstay is businesses, churches, and schools. That's where the majority of those blood drives are happening, but they do get fun and interesting every once in a while.
Yeah,
I definitely became a blood donor at high school.
Yeah.
That was my first time, and I was a regular blood donor until I became iron deficient. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about that? Are we just done? Y'all don't want us to come in, or how does that work now?
That's a great question. So whenever you come in to donate blood, we're actually testing your hemoglobin to try to check to see, what those levels are, and there's correlation between that and iron. And if it's too low, we don't want you to donate red cells and then lose more, right? And so we do have a huge responsibility to the donors. The reality is those numbers are changing all the time. So if somebody is kind of diagnosed as anemic and they always have a constant low red blood cell or iron levels in their bodies, then yes, they aren't going to be able to donate. But we screen for that. What we typically tell people is it can change. Some of you change by diets, but some of you change by just nutrition and taking iron supplements. And over time, the science has shown that a regular iron supplement will help increase those iron levels. And if it's okay the day you come and donate, which we're screening for, then those people can donate. And so that's what we recommend people to do is come on down. We're going to help check all that out for you on top of your blood pressure and checking your temperature and checking all those things that kind of track over the course of your life with us.
That's cool. That's good to know.
Going into this, I wasn't sure. There's the old, I guess it's outdated at this point now, but there's that idea that if you're tattooed or you have piercings, surprise, you can't donate blood, and that's not true.
That is absolutely not true, and definitely hits the top 5 myths. Right? Is that for many years ago, whenever you got a tattoo, you'd have to wait years before you could donate again. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of changed here in the state of Texas. As long as your tattoo was done at a licensed facility, meaning you can't come to my garage and let me do it. By all means, I'm willing to give it a shot. But I don't know if you see, my daughter got her art skills from me. It's probably not a good idea.
I could do a whole podcast about people who get stuff that they call them kitchen magicians.
Oh my!
And that's where
Craig's gonna let me give him a tattoo.
No. I'm very against that. Like I'm very
on your face.
All the shops I go to, it's definitely clean, and I definitely. You guys caught me. It was more than a week since I've gotten a tattoo before I got this done. So you got me there. You said top 5 myths. Okay, so. The first myth is that obviously if you get a piercing or a tattoo, you cannot donate blood. That's not true. What are some of the other myths that are out there that are going against your message you need to dispel today?
So definitely the tattoo one is a big one. And what's the funny part of that is there's a lot of people who have tattoos. They're like, hey, I'm scared of needles. And it's like, but are you?
Are you really?
I know.
Yeah.
And this is only one time. And,
I always tell people though with that is that, okay, the needle that I get, like, cool little heart or dagger on my body doesn't literally go into my veins. It's just that top part. So it's different. So, but it's this last time was the first time I had ever donated blood. So
they're professional, man. You barely feel it. It really just slides right in and just a little baby sting, but that's it.
That's why Estevan was so good, because he kept me at ease. And don't get me wrong, like I've actually had to, give blood for doctors and stuff like that, just check out levels and stuff. But this, for some reason, was different.
For sure.
And I think because it was more, and it wasn't just we're done. We got like our 3 or 4 vials and we're done. This was a prolonged procedure, and it felt great. So okay, go ahead.
The myth
number 2.
I would definitely say like myth number 2. Is that people are saying, hey, I'm diabetic, I have high blood pressure, my iron's low. And so sometimes when you come in to donate, your blood pressure may not be good that day, your iron may not be good, your hemoglobin may not be good that day, but that doesn't mean that you can never donate blood. It just means for that particular day. And I would say that kind of under all those headings, self-deferral, meaning that, hey, I don't even try because I just don't think I can. That is probably the biggest obstacle we're up against in trying to educate the community to say, a mass majority of people in the United States are eligible to donate blood. And like all things, we have a lot of statistics, and part of one of ours is saying that only 1 in 20 people will donate blood in their lifetime, but only 1 in 7 people will receive blood. And so, like, you don't have to be good at math to realize that doesn't add up.
That's shocking.
So the blood supply every day is contingent upon those 1 in 20 continuing to donate and making sure that we always have blood on the shelf. And like we were talking about in high school, Kat, you donated in high school. We spend so much time working with these high school kids because the statistics show if we don't get somebody when they're young, when they're a little bit more or not so risk adverse, right? They're
flexible.
You got it, right? When we can get them to try in high school, there's a higher likelihood that they'll continue to donate throughout life. If they don't donate in high school, the harsh reality is that typically they won't donate again unless they know somebody who's needs blood, and by that time it's way too late. Our blood, shelves and blood have to be fully stocked for when that emergency may happen. So, yeah.
And it must have been very difficult during COVID to get enough people during lockdown or whatever we called our little period where nobody was doing anything.
It was very difficult for me and my team. We're the ones who go out in the community. We host about 7,000 blood drives a year in the Gulf Coast community, right? To make sure we have a stable blood supply. And that's on top of all of the sites. We have 17 sites where people can come to us every day. But 7,000 blood drives are hosted. And what we kind of experienced in this shutdown is we kind of were treated as hosting a blood drive as, a gathering. People were like, oh, we can't host blood drives because that's a gathering. That is, that's against the rules. And the good thing that came out of this is the government kind of helped push this. The health department helped push this. The CDC helped push this. Kind of came out and said, hey, blood drives are not gatherings. They're not social events. They are they're essential services. And so we are one of those things that very much like fire department, EMS, you're not going to tell the fire department, hey, there's no gatherings, don't come in.
Right, sorry, you're not here.
So yeah, blood drives became a part of an essential service. And that was a hard message to get out there, is to say, hey, even though everything's shut down, even though we have stay-at-home orders, we still have to have blood drives. And to your earlier question, one of the things we did very early on in March and April is we had to take our blood drives to neighborhoods. And historically, I'd be like, no way, like no one's home. Don't host a blood drive on a Tuesday in a neighborhood.
Now everyone's there.
Yeah. And so we had to take blood drives there. And usually we'd say wait every 8 weeks. And we had some neighborhoods we were setting up blood drives every week.
That's so cool.
People were and trying to find access to them. So getting that message out, convincing people, and making sure that our safety protocols were very explicit. We tell people all the time, we were kind of built for this before it ever happened. We already check temperatures of every person who came in to donate blood. We already do background screenings. We already do mini physicals. Our staff already wear PPE. Now we've increased all of that. When you come and donate, there's a squeezy ball that you squeeze, and looking back, we'd say, hey, thanks for squeezing that. We need it back. We'd hand it to the next
person. Take
that
with you.
Yeah, right. I never thought anything of it. And then here comes 2020 in March, and it's like, that's out the window. New squeezy ball for everybody. Look, it's a giveaway, right?
That's what I was going to say. It's a giveaway.
But people have loved it. So
I derailed you before too. You need to finish the myths because I think those are important. I'm sorry about that. I have a bad habit of that.
No, you're totally okay. The biggest myths I would still say are under those categories of tattoos and all those self-deferral ones. It is the iron. It is the blood pressure. I've had high blood pressure. I'm diabetic. I can't donate. And so I kind of still leave them under that umbrella. So people who think that they can't come and donate. There's also another one that says, hey, I'm too old to donate. There is not an age requirement. There is not an age restriction. So you can donate as young as 16 with parent consent, 17 and up doesn't require consent, and there is not an upper limit on that. So as long as you're feeling well and healthy and you can answer the background questions that are kind of laid out by the FDA, you are eligible to donate.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we got tattoos, the self-deferral, age, and I would say another one too, I think is I don't know if this is an official one, but almost, I think people are nervous about the pain.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So we kind of joke all the time too about needles, the fear of needles, not just for people who are going in tattoos, but I often tell people, hey, how many people think the number one reason, what do you think the number one reason is people don't donate? I'm going to ask you guys, what do y'all think that is?
Kat, you go first.
Is it I think it's the fear of seeing blood or the fear they're going to pass out.
Yeah. What about you, Craig?
I mean, for me, I think it definitely that I would have to say, yeah, because that was my worry going into it, was that I was going to, my eyes were going to roll in the back of my head and we were going to have dead air on Facebook Live. Yeah,
that one might be fair.
That would be, I think that was mine. Yeah.
And so what I always tell people is I completely understand that. My wife always said if my job was dependent upon her donating blood, I need to look for a new job, right? So fear is definitely up there. But what we found is, much like Craig, you in this most recent blood drive, the number one reason people don't donate blood is no perceived need, or more importantly, that no one asked them to donate blood.
Okay.
I was told this when I first came to work here, and I was like, okay, you're telling me this is a stat, but you're hiring me to go ask people to donate blood. That sounds real convenient, right? But what I'll tell you is no matter how many times I get in front of an audience, you start the conversation with how many are willing to donate blood right now? And you get the baby hands, maybe. And then you just have a real quick conversation about the need, the importance, and the demand. And very quickly, people get it. People are very giving. We live in the most amazing community in the world. And having that real quick conversation, that changes very radically to say, hey, I am willing to donate blood. So make it convenient for people, letting them know about the need and the demand, and then kind of making that connection to these aren't just some person who's had an accident. These are our neighbors. These are our family members. And most people, you don't have to look very far and you'll know somebody who's received blood and it's saved.
My own mom was receiving red blood cells because she had a bone marrow problem where she wasn't producing her own healthy red blood cells. It was a lifesaver.
Golly.
So it's huge. Means a lot.
There's different kinds of donations too, right? Because I know that I donated just straight up blood, but then there's other variations, right? There's like longer procedures.
You got it. So very much when you were asking about how many lives can you save when you donate blood, and we take your whole blood is what we call it. So for you, blood. We take it back to the blood center and we break it into red blood cells, plasma, and platelets, the three main components of blood. And so each one of those components does something a little different, right? And it goes to different types of patients. Red cells carry oxygen throughout the body. Plasma is kind of the fluid in our bodies that kind of carries nutrients and carries the antibodies. And our platelets are the kind of clotting agent where when you cut yourself, platelets go and help plug the hole and help kind of start creating that to help stop the bleeding. So you're going to save 3 lives. We actually have procedures where somebody can come in and donate just red cells. And for example, it's all based off of blood type and their donor eligibility. If somebody comes in, I'm sure you've heard O negative donors. Mm-hmm. O negative donors, their red cells can go to anybody. So whenever you're in an emergency room and they don't have time to type somebody, they're going to give them O negative blood because anybody can receive it. The problem with that is only 7% of the population is O negative. So emergency rooms are, dependent upon that 7% coming out of donating. To answer your question, we're going to ask an O negative donor to just donate red cells. Okay. So they're going to go on a device that takes the blood out just like yours and separates it right there and says, I just want the red cells. I'll give the plasma and platelets back, but we'll get 2 full transfusible units of O negative red cells so that those can go and sit on an emergency room shelf. Most recently, some really cool things that have happened here in our community. I'm sure you've seen LifeFlight flying around. LifeFlight actually carries blood on the helicopter. This has started several years back now to try to start transfusions at the scene of an accident. And it's extended and saved lives. But again, to do that, you have to have those red blood cells. And then no differently, red blood cells, plasma, and platelets. AB donors, their plasma can go to anybody. A donors their platelets can go to anybody. So based off of your blood type and what donation you're eligible for that day is what we may ask you to donate based off of what is needed for the hospitals at that time.
What's the
Do you
most
know your
common
blood type, Craig?
Yes, I was going to ask him if I had the most common blood type. I'm B positive, which is B positive.
Yeah. Lots of great jokes there, right?
Yes.
So the most common blood type is O. So, and then more specifically, O positive.
That's me.
So that's you, right? So what's interesting, everyone's like, oh, well, that's the most common, then it must not be needed. Well, it's kind of the opposite of that, right? Because
more people need it.
You've got it, right? So 37% of the population in the United States has O positive. You're saying you're B positive, that's about 8% of the population. You're just actually a tick over that O negative population. So yeah, 8%. You're in the 8%. So
you're special, Craig.
This is another big question. This is, Kat, I don't know why you didn't already ask this, but how do we get our blood types? How does that come into play scientifically? Like, is it just something you're like, obviously is it genetic? How does that work?
Yeah, it's genetic. No different than hair color, eye color. It is genetic. And so your blood type is going to come from your parents.
Okay. And it's grouped kind of interestingly by ancestry in some cases.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean ancestry way back. Mm-hmm. So there's pockets of different. O is the most ancient of the blood types.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah. And even different parts of the world will have different distributions. So you might have heard me say that, hey, you're part of the 8%, but that's true here. In Asia, there's going to be a different population and a higher occurrence of B. So like in different parts of the world, blood type distributions are a little different.
Okay. Yeah, I've always wondered that because I remember growing up, I never knew my blood type until a few years ago. But then I remember growing up here and then my grandfather was O positive. And I remember going, ooh, that's so exotic. Wow. Like that's so cool. And then now I'm like,
I know it because of donating blood, because if you don't know it, you guys let us know.
That's right. It's one of the perks of coming out to donate is there's always this kind of curiosity of, hey, what's my blood type? It says a little bit about us. There's all kinds of fun books that have been written in, again, different cultures and some of the Asian countries that actually believe a lot about personality and blood types. And as a matter of fact, and even social environments, they're going to like, what is your blood type is going to come up, which for us, it's like, that would never happen. But they believe compatibility, both at work and even in their personal relationships. They believe blood types have a lot.
And blood type diets, that was a big thing in the 90s, or maybe it's the 2000s. I don't know. It all runs together.
Yeah, and even early on through the coronavirus, there were some news that came out early on and kind of dissipated, saying that different blood types reacted differently with coronavirus and
less susceptible, blah blah blah.
You got it. So you hear these things pop up, and everyone's like, "Well, then what am I?" And so it's kind of fun. You come out and donate, and you're going to get to find out your blood type, and then through that, you get to kind of find out who and how you can help people in your community by the different blood donations you can make.
So speaking of coronavirus, I know that you guys also test all the blood for the antibodies.
Yeah, that was something we just started.
I did not know that.
Yeah, explain that a little bit. I was kind of hazy on that. I've had it done before, but I need Kevin to tell me.
Yeah. So starting in like late June, we kind of started testing every blood donation for antibodies, and we did this for two reasons. First and foremost is our job as a blood center is to partner with the community to make sure that we keep our healthcare, our hospitals sustained with what they need. Well, one of the things that they've needed through this is convalescent plasma. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to answer your question. I'm going to go backwards about it. As we know that convalescent plasma is plasma that will have the antibodies from somebody who's already had COVID. And so they build up the antibodies. We can take their plasma and transfuse it to somebody, and those antibodies can help another patient who may be suffering from COVID. So the problem was in March, April, May, we just didn't know who all had COVID. Everybody was just testing for COVID. And so as blood centers across the nation, and specifically here in Houston, one of the things that was happening is our hospitals were saying, we need this convalescent plasma. And at first we're just going, hey, if you've had COVID, come see us after you've recovered, and we want to get your convalescent plasma. Well, and one of the things that we did to help kind of ramp that up is there were a lot of people who were asymptomatic. They never knew they had COVID, but they did, and you could still build up those antibodies. So anybody who started coming to donate, we partnered with we partnered to be able to start offering that antibody testing as part of blood donation. And then if you are positive, then we ask those people to come back in and donate that convalescent plasma and make a plasma-only donation that is then labeled specifically for that. And hospitals request those products from us to help treat and help those patients who are suffering from COVID. So, yeah.
Cool. One of the most interesting things that Kelly told me when we were donating, I asked her exactly how much I was giving y'all. And she goes, "Oh, it's about half of a Coke bottle." And then we had this conversation. We're like, "Wow, half a Coke bottle full of blood. That sounds wild."
Wonderful.
They collected them in Coke bottles during World War II, or maybe that's a myth too. Or
it is not a myth. It's actually all of that's fascinating. I tell people all the time that blood banking is, as much as we kind of take it for granted, that's good. I don't want you to worry about if blood's available, but our industry are still babies. In the blood banking industry, we're still babies. So, Coke, it was glass bottles that blood was transfused in, and we didn't get plastic. In 1940s is when they started collecting and storing in glass bottles. We did not get plastic until later into the 50s. We started collecting and being able to hold blood in plastic bags. What's funny is I've only been at the blood center 15 years. And when I first started, those little test tubes that you were talking about, those were glass when I started. And so I kind of feel like I'm part of history now that I got to see the transition that the test tubes went from glass to plastic. So you're spot on, Kat. Like the industry's radically changed in a very short period of time. We didn't even know about blood types until 1901. So blood banking didn't really kind of get kicked off until 30s, 40s, 50s.
And you definitely don't want to transfuse the wrong kind of blood. That's a very disastrous result.
It is a very disastrous
What
result.
happens?
So people will have reactions. Their bodies will react. When you transfuse the wrong blood types, the person receiving the blood, their body's going to attack that blood. And the blood
immune reaction.
Oh, okay.
And the blood will agglutinate and their body can react, and depending on how much they received or how bad the reaction is, it can be fatal. And so it's why that he received the Nobel Peace Prize, Carl Landsteiner, 1930, for all those.
Why they wore the tags too, the dog tags that have your blood type on it.
You got it.
Yep.
You got it. And so it's become a very important piece of our medical history, and it's part of the reason why I have a career here today, is to make sure that we have blood on the shelf each and every day.
So, and
we are grateful.
I noticed that after I donated, I felt really refreshed. Was that something just in Craig's head, or was that something scientific?
Absolutely. Everyone's going to feel refreshed after they donate blood. No,
I didn't feel like, I felt like rejuvenated almost. I know that sounds strange and maybe a little hippy dippy. I'm wearing a Grateful Dead shirt, but I'm just saying I felt very like stronger. I don't know how to explain it. I didn't know if that was something that's you guys.
No, Craig, you're spot on. We actually hear that a lot from people, and some people say that when you have blood removed, your body kind of automatically kicks in to replace that blood, right? So that's what you're kind of describing. It might be your body's reaction to that. Your blood is created in your bone marrow, inside your bones, so very appropriate for our podcast.
Yes,
but you're very much describing that as saying, hey, yes, you are losing a pint of fluids. And as long as you do all the things of, hey, make sure you eat a good meal before you come out, make sure you're hydrated, your experience is the one that we're hopeful for, is that not only are you doing the altruistic good deed of helping your fellow person here in the community, but yes, you're also, taking care of yourself, both for tracking your health stats with us, finding out your antibodies, and if you can help more people, but also, yes, that innate feel good piece of it's a huge part of it.
I remember Kelly told me, she goes, you can go eat whatever you want now. And it was like the reward. I ended up getting like $30 worth of barbecue down the street at the pit room. So I was taken care of that day. Yeah. It was a lot of fun. And like I said, it gave me a chance to sort of you're not supposed to work out afterwards either. So it was a good rest day. Yeah. So I was just covered in barbecue sauce and just had my little thing on there. So you guys are going to be at the Houston Museum of Natural Science, obviously, until I guess early May or late May, as long as we have Body Worlds. And so it's Thursdays and Fridays, right?
That's what we're working through. Yeah.
Through May. I didn't know it was that long. That's great. Yeah. Now I'm going to be able to do it. I thought I was going to not be able to because of classes and my schedule, but till May, I'm in.
And I think, and you go to the website and you guys ask that you reserve a spot.
Pick a time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we ask everybody to go to giveblood.org, and then you can search the locations that you can go and donate for whatever's convenient for you. And again, setting them up at the museum is an effort to say, let's make it convenient for people to come there and do something that they already enjoy doing and coming to the museum, but also while they're there, they can donate blood and do something that's also good for the community. So we do have a regular partnership throughout the next several months to be able to offer that opportunity for people to come and donate. I will tell you, Craig, is Kelly was spot on that sometimes we tell people when you donate blood, you can you lose a pound. It's quick weight loss. There's a little bit of it's fluid, so you gain it back pretty quickly after we give you some juice and cookies too. But that pint of blood that you've lost is weighs about a pound. So
I got water and sea salt chips that day.
Water.
Yeah. No, I water, and then I had coffee afterwards. Apparently, I wasn't supposed to do that either. But sorry, I'm a rule breaker. I had coffee, water, and then the sea salt chips. And Yeah. Oh, also too, Kat, you may not know this, but when you donate blood, if you're a first time, if you donate blood at the museum, you are eligible to get a 15% discount on a membership.
Ooh, I did not know that. That's actually kind of a good deal. Help somebody and get something for yourself.
Mm-hmm. And
especially with Body Worlds coming, you need that membership, man.
Yeah. We're gonna be doing a lot of. We're gonna be talking more about Body Worlds, obviously, in the next few 5-6 months of podcasts, I'm sure. So
I am here for it.
You guys haven't heard the end of Body Worlds. Kevin Shipley, what's the best email or best website to find you guys at? What's the website?
Giveblood.org. So come out to giveblood.org. A lot of questions can be answered there. So not just the ones I'd mentioned, but if you have questions about, hey, I'm on a medication, can I donate? All of those are on our website. You can also look for a place to donate and schedule your donation so that you can kind of reserve your spot and we know to expect you and have you come on out. So giveblood.org.
And then on social media, it's on Instagram.
Commit for Life.
Okay. And Twitter as well.
Yes. Twitter, Instagram,
Facebook.
All the goodies. Yeah.
Gulf Coast Regional Blood Center. This just rolls off the tongue, just like Houston Museum of Natural Science.
That's
Feels
right.
like the same thing. It was a perfect marriage, and I'm really happy that we did that. And it was funny when I found out about that partnership, like everybody was really surprised how excited I was. Like I was like, yeah, I can do it. Yeah, like
I was really excited.
I was really excited, like because I could like face that fear. And then obviously, the benefits come with it. And I just feel so great. It's funny. I was telling my grandmother about it and she's 86 years old. And she said that she's sad because that was one of her favorite things to do every few months or so was to donate blood. And then she said that after a certain period, they told her, you're a little too old for this. Is that true?
No.
That was one of our myths.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just my grandma being, maybe they were like, there were no more. We don't want any, like they were tired of her. I don't know.
No, absolutely. We'll accept anybody. We've actually had people who've donated well into their 90s come out and be avid.
Oh, very cool.
One of the fun things about donating blood too is people love to kind of rack and see how many gallons they can donate.
Yeah.
Not all at one time, but over the course.
You're the 5-gallon club.
That's
right.
I
think I'm eligible again on November 27th.
Well, hey, listen, we're gonna make it real convenient
so
for you. Just walk down the hall and come see us again, right?
Let me see. That will be November 27th. Right after Thanksgiving, so
you'll be all fattened up.
Yeah, I'll have a bunch of gravy in my blood for everybody out there.
High fat content.
Tryptophan blood. I know that's a myth, but yes, I'll have a lot of.
We're very grateful for y'all's partnership as well. I have to say, Craig, I'm much like you. I was so excited when we first came to sit down with you guys and kind of plan all this out. I'm running to the gift shop and buying my daughter one of the kits for the Nights Museum.
Was it you that bought the kit?
Oh, yeah, it was me.
I was very excited. I lost a bet because of that. Oh, I was supposed to sell the first one. That's okay.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Forgive.
So I got home and they were so excited. We went to the museum that weekend. And so it's just been a really big treat for us to be able to, have a partnership with you guys. And it kind of works so well with y'all's exhibit coming up with the body too.
Yeah.
So,
very cool. Kevin, thank you. I'm just admiring that artwork behind you. Like, tell your little one she did a great job.
I will.
I love the colors are great.
Craig's been taking notes, and I would like to know if there's some sort of a test that I am unaware of that you've been taking notes for. No,
I just like to write things down when I'm talking to people.
Okay, you're making me nervous. I was like,
an old reporter's thing. I'm sorry.
Am I supposed to be taking notes? Anyway,
I wrote down what blood type you were.
Good. Good.
Just in case, like, there's ever something at the museum, like
Christmas
scream,
presents.
Hey, Cat's so positive.
You never know, right?
You don't.
Kevin,
it was great talking to you.
Yeah, thank you all so much. I've really enjoyed it.
All right, bye now.
Bye, guys.